All right, we are starting to go live, and there we are. Hi, you all. This is our session. All right. And thank you for coming. This is our secondary school session. We're going to have some great things to talk to you about today. We're going to first introduce yourselves. We know that we're a few minutes behind, so we'll try to factor that in accordingly. I'll start with me. I'm Adam Watson. I am from Shelby County Public Schools. I'm the digital learning coordinator here in our district, and very happy to be here. I'm going into my 5th year here at Shelby, and great to have an opportunity to share some awesomeness with you. So I'm going to pass the baton to Melinda.
Hi, all. Good morning. Melinda Earstein, and I am going to be transferring to the newest middle school in Boone County School District, Valley-Shannon.
Okay, and next we're going to talk to Tia.
Hi, I'm Tia Wood. I also work in Boone County Schools and will be at the new middle school. I've taught 8th grade English for the past 6 years and will be moving on to the library media specialist position next year. So excited to be here with you all. Thanks so much for joining with us.
All right, thanks. And Elaine, are you going to jump in here for us? Maybe not. Elaine Abernatha is going to be also talking with us today, and she's going to be talking about some ways to digitally organize, for students to digitally organize themselves. So with that said, I'm the first one up, so nervous me. I'm going to go ahead and begin in our presentation. So give me a second here, and we'll share our screen and get going here. All right. So we have the slides coming up here. It looks like that is coming up delightfully. All right, yay. Okay, well, again, Adam Watson here talking about digital tools for personalization and project-based learning. Of course, we have the links to various resources, but I'm going to go ahead and share this as well. It's a shortened GL link in case you want to get to the slide deck that I'm about to go through. That is the shortcut for that. So I'll let that linger for like just a few seconds before I jump in. One of the main things that I try to talk to teachers and staff about when I talk about digital tools is the idea that you should never have digital tools for digital tools' sake. The idea of it is that you really always ask yourself that question: how is your technology being integrated with strong pedagogy to transform your teaching, to do things that you couldn't do usually without that technology? And as far as 3 areas to kind of double check yourself about how is tech improving things. How is tech improving your rigor, raising those high expectations for students? You're thinking about mastery of standards, you're thinking about perhaps competency-based learning. How is tech improving your relevance? Because you have to ask that question, why does this matter to me, coming from the perspective of a student? Obviously, it's hard to get them excited that it's yet another way to do a multiple choice test. That you have something where it's it has more of a relevance than that. And last but not least, relationships. I think technology, especially now, has an incredible opportunity to figure out all these pieces of relationships that you need to make student learning successful and effective and possible. That you know who they are, where they are, and I mean that mainly in the sense of where they are in their learning and in their mastery of standards, and what they need. And by knowing those kind of pieces of information, thanks to technology, that you can serve their learning that way. So I'm going to jump in and share several different tools today. The first one I'm going to talk about is an open education resource called Guru. Guru is a repository of multiple different places, different resources of curriculum and content. Some of you may have, or actually may even be interacting with Summit Learning. And Summit Learning has its own digital platform that you can use. It has a certain set of curriculum with it. The thing I like about Guru is that it has the Summit Learning curriculum inside of it. So you don't necessarily have to use the digital platform to get access to the curriculum inside of Guru. You do need accounts to log in, but Google accounts are fine. The teacher can manage classes. All of this, of course, is free. The teacher could remix units and lessons. They can add custom content. So it's a great way, especially, yes, you could do that as a classroom, but think about the idea that you can assign courses to a whole class, or you could even get little mini classes who just name on the student's name. It would be a way of personalizing and giving them curriculum that they specifically need based on your assessments of where they're at. So that is Guru. Here's just a screenshot just showing an example of what Guru looks like. You can see up here across the band, you got your K through 12, different content areas, even things like personal finance and world languages. It's a great combination of companies and organizations that have shared their curriculum, as well as individuals that teachers that have shared their curriculum that has been vetted by the group of people and staff. So great opportunities as far as to be able to get a wide array of different content there for students K through 12. They also have this Learning Navigator, which is a fairly new piece of Guru, and that is also another way of another tool built into Guru to try to personalize those pathways for students. The next tool website is also an open education resource site. It's called Teacher Advisor with Watson, which I cannot take credit for. That is not me. It's Watson as in IBM Watson. It's a growing resource that IBM is trying to create for teachers, again, free, for them to have content. And it's trying to utilize, thanks to Watson's AI, more natural ways of searching and looking and getting content. So that's kind of their prerogative there. The site is faced for teachers, though. This is something where teachers get the material. And of course, they could take that curriculum material, videos, and so on, and create personalized student paths, but it's oriented toward them, as opposed to the last site, Guru, which a student could have a login experience with. As of right now, it's vetted material for K through 5 math, although talking to the different people at Teacher Advisor, they are working on expanding that math to older grade levels, and as well as going into different content levels, or different content areas. So keep that in mind as far as that it's a growing site, and keep checking back to see how it's grown. Engagement org, teaching the core is just a few examples of some of the organizations providing curriculum for them. As I mentioned, the Watson IBM AI piece is kind of one of their things that they're working on or using for this. So the searches are highly intuitive and focused. They've got lessons, activities, and strategies, a large video library, and the things that you choose and download become part of your library for your account, so you can easily find them again. Here's just an example as far as a screenshot of what it looks like. There's lots of drill downs where you can go to a specific grade level. You can look at just standards and things that are accompanied with that, or lessons or activities and so on. I do like that, again, being teacher oriented. If you're having, you personally or know someone that you're coaching is having a struggle with teaching a certain type of, say, third grade math, it has some opportunities to provide that teacher some things to think about through videos and so on, as far as strategies in order to teach that. And that's the strategies I was just talking about right there. I do have a blog entry where I talk about open education resources in general, and these two particular tools specifically. And again, with access to the slide deck, you can click here to have easy access to that blog entry. I'm going to stop for just a second. If there was any questions, I'm looking here. Lots of good mornings. Okay, I want to continue on. The next tool that I'm going to talk about is this website called Students Lead. It is a North Carolina State College of Education site. And one of the things that I really like about that, as far as what we're talking about today for personalization, is that you do a pre-assessment with it, and it creates a personalized action plan to how am I going to get those soft skills. The soft skills is the thing we talk a lot about here in Shelby, and certainly in other places where personalized learning sounds great, people say, but how are students able to work independently and be good collaborators and be reflective, and some of those things that, depending on the age group or the experience they had prior, that may be really hard for them. And this is one of those rare sites, again, for free, that can give you kind of a all-in-one opportunity for students to go to this website, go through the course. They estimated to be about a 4-hour time frame. It's got videos and some reflective activities. As you complete each part, you get a badge. So it's a chance for them to kind of, maybe at the beginning of the year kind of opportunity to get those soft skills in place. The student orientation video I'm not going to play, but that link there kind of gives you an opportunity. What does the students first see, and sets up this website really well. Students and teachers both have accounts, and according to their page, coming soon, the teachers can have the ability to create classes and monitor student progress, which would be a really nice piece as far as if I as a teacher want to see where they're at in this 4-hour course. But again, it's one of the few free things that I've seen that has a lot of promise that students can learn that soft skill set stuff. Here's an example as far as a screenshot of what it looks like. This would be logged in from a teacher perspective, but a lot of that would be similar for a student. It gives you different areas to explore here. You've got the badges here at the bottom that you could possibly earn. So again, a nice, interesting way of learning that soft skill set. So for the next tool, it's answering some of these questions that for personalization and PBL can sometimes be tough. They need to have current content for real periodicals and not something that's like made up or low bar stuff. Perhaps to build their schema and content in order to work on a project for project-based learning. The ways, that magic formula of trying to do differentiation where you want all students to interact with a certain level of content, but they all have different reading levels. So how do you do that with an equitable way? This tool is going to do that for you. Also has some checkpoint assessments to make sure the comprehension is happening. And last but not least, you're trying to get more nonfiction in front of students. This is definitely a tool that I'm about to talk about. Newsela or Newsela. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways that even I myself was a little bit confused. But this is a great website and tool for doing all the things that we just talked about in the previous slide. The great thing is that these are real articles. So it's a USA Today and New York Times. I mean, these are actual periodicals that they've partnered with different organizations and people to get them in. So it's not like just some random person typing some random made up article. It's things that are being current and published right now. The great thing about it is that each of these articles have the ability to break down on lexile level various ways of looking at the article. And in fact, additionally, recently they started doing a Spanish translation, not for all the articles, but for a lot of them. And that's a great opportunity for our ELL students. You can search articles by a core content standard, also with different subject areas and so on. There is a quiz feature. It does require an account creation, which is free, and you can get that through your Google account if you like. The teachers have some tools for creating classes, managing students, and so on. I have some directions hyperlinked for that. I will say that there is a premium feature that gives you some more bells and whistles, but if you sign up, you can get a lot of this done for free. Here's a screenshot as far as what it looks like. So here's a typical article. You can see different ways you could possibly organize and drop that down up here. But the main thing, the bread and butter that's really great about this is that it's got that drop down for the lexile level. You can see that it goes in this case from 1220 down to 620. The content is the same. That's the thing that I really love about this. So every time that you change the lexile level, everyone's still reading the same article, but they're just reading it at the reading level that they need. What's even more beautiful is that the URL is unique to that particular lexile level. So you can really copy that URL and paste it for, say, this article on lexile level 870. And that's a unique URL versus the one that's at 620 or at 1060. So there are various ways through learning management system, or email, or however you want to organize your classroom, different ways that you can share that with specific students as they need the article to the level that they need. You can also see that with the one button, this particular one can translate into Spanish. So again, not all the articles are like that, but many are. So great opportunity there with Newsela. I'm seeing a question here. Let's see, people loving, Stella loves the Newsela. How can you use Newsela as you not have a paid account? I did the trial, loved it, but that's over. Stella is actually answering that in a great way. So you can still use Newsela with a paid version. And there's definitely bells and whistles they can get as far as the premium version, but you can get access to these different articles and, again, the differentiation without that. Moving on, Habitica is a website that I really love. I'm all about gamification and learning. I've written several blog entries and promoted some different things about that. Their tagline is gamify your life. And what it is an opportunity, and I'm thinking about this from the student perspective, although teachers can certainly do it too. How can I organize myself? We talked about soft skills a few minutes ago. It's the idea of how can I make sure that I can do some of those executive functioning things, keep my to-do list, my must-dos and can-dos. What are some of those habits of mind that I need to keep practicing so that they become second nature? Habitica has a cute little way to be able to do that and make that fun. So, if you have those project-based learning timelines and things like that, what's the next thing I'm supposed to do for my group? This is a way it can be organized. Downfall of it is that it's not necessarily educational centered, so there's not really a classroom management functionality right now where it can be monitored and managed by a teacher. So, you have to be mindful of that. Here is a screenshot, of what it looks like. And you can kind of get an idea. So you have a little custom little avatar that as you do these different habits and to-dos and so on, you earn some gold, you earn some experience points. And with that, you can purchase things like a new furry hat for your avatar. It's quite delightful. So these are the upgrades and things that you're working toward. It should be pointed out that this is kind of an honor system for fun kind of thing. I mean, I could sit there and say that I did elliptical exercise 27 times a day if I wanted to try to do that to pump up my gold and my silver and my experience points. But it's more about the general aspect of, treating it with honesty and coming to it. It's a way of just trying to make it more fun to do those habits, do those to-dos, and have those better soft skills and better organization skills for yourself as a student. But, hey, you can do this as a teacher as well. Okay, we're rounding the corner here. We're getting near the end. Project Search is a particular tool that's built into the Buck Institute for Education website. If you've ever done a lot of project-based learning stuff and you've played around with that site, you may have come across this or may have actually skipped over it, depending. It's definitely a great specialized search engine. And with it, you can search for project-based learning ideas. You can do that by core content, by grade level, by topic. It is a great vetted source of project-based learning units. It is the number one thing I go to when a teacher comes to me and says, you know what, I really love this PBL idea. I'm just not sure where to start. And I say, let's take your content area and take one of these and may actually do that unit. Or of course you could take it and customize it to your heart's delight, but you don't have to feel like you're going at it from scratch. You have some opportunities. And it's pretty vast. I mean, I've even seen physical education units and things like that. So you might even surprise yourself as far as the different types of units that are discussed and have some PBL units around it. Screenshots, it's just to give you an example, it's pretty straightforward. Again, you can go by school level, by a certain topic, by a certain common core, subtopics go down from there. You can really refine your search as far as to be able to find specific units. So, Project Search is a great opportunity to find that PBL stuff. Let's see. There was just stopping for a question. Habitica, do I use Habitica along Summit Learning Mentoring or project? That sounds awesome. You certainly could. I will be honest with you. Benefit or drawback, it's sometimes hard. I have so many opportunities to talk to wonderful teachers and get around, but obviously I don't have classrooms of kids, so it's harder for me to practice some of these tools. But I have definitely talked to different teachers who have gotten really excited about that idea and have been playing with it, and they found ways to motivate students to use Habitica. Habitica has been really wonderful ways to get people motivated and organized in ways they didn't do before. So sometimes if you're having that struggle with a particular student, you might want to even suggest it, even if you didn't do it for a whole entire class. All right, I'm moving on. The last website that I'm going to talk about today is Recap. Recap is a great discussion-oriented thread, a way of organizing student conversation. I think, at least here in Shelby, one of the things we've realized is, hey, anything that we can do to kind of increase discourse between students would be great because they just need to talk to each other. They talk, of course, student to teacher all the time, but how can we increase ways for students to talk to other students? And this is a digitized virtual way of doing that. You can create queues of questions or even set up as a teacher a journey, which kind of has a little introductory video by you. And then from there, students can plunge in and go into certain sub-questions. The great thing about it is it gives you lots of different opportunities. You can set it up where it's just text-based answers. They could do an audio response, just audio only, or video response. So you may want to mix that up just to make sure that the medium is changing up. So it's not always text or it's always video. The idea, again, would be hopefully to get those students involved that, hey, for various reasons, because of reluctance, because of motivation, because of ELL, because of whatever, ECE perhaps, let's get an opportunity for other students to talk who may not be so much to raise their hand in front of an entire class or necessarily text. The video and audio only might be some opportunities for that. It's free. It's easy to make a roster or a class. You get this join pin and get that out to students. They can jump right in. They don't even have to make a special account to do so. And you can think of, there's a couple ways here about personalization and Pbl that you could use something like Recap for ongoing mentoring, for asynchronous discussion. For Pbl, you could use those driving questions and need to knows, and that's what your cues are set around, and that can be something that the students constantly revisit throughout the Pbl unit to make sure that they're, keeping on track. Are we addressing the real things as we're learning and growing and working on our projects, so we're keeping on track with the stuff that the unit's supposed to be. I have some links here for some other stuff for Pbl and personalized learning. Again, if you have the Google slide and the resources, you can get to those and check those out. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Obviously, you can reach out to me at any time. I hope you follow me at @WatsonEdTech if you don't already. I know you're using a hashtag for KYGoDigital out there. And of course, you can email me at the adam.watson@Shelby anytime you like if you've got questions about anything like that. I'm going to take a second just to see if there's any questions looking at the chat room. Let's see here. Kenny Bullard mentioned Flipgrid. I do mention that in that slide prior. That is definitely for video discussions, for just straight out video responses and not text or other opportunities. That is a great tool as well for discourse. That's definitely become one of my favorites as well, as far as introducing that with teachers and so on. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing here, exit out of our presentation, and come back to the Hangout. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to roll to the next presenter, where the next person is going to be talking today to you guys is Melinda, who's going to be talking about Canvas to create a blended learning environment. So Melinda, take it away.
Hi, all. Good morning. Glad you could be with us. I think it's great, actually, that I am just kind of piggybacking off of Adam as far as the idea of the personalized learning, and that's really what blended learning is, and that is what using Canvas is for as well. So I'm gonna share that with you. All right, can you guys see my presentation?
You are all good.
All right, cool. Okay, so I know I just did a brief, introduction when we first started, but I am actually transferring from Boone County's high school, Cooper High School. This past year, I was a part of the district's blended learning teacher leader cohort, and now I will be transferring to our newest middle school called Ballyshannon, where we will also be utilizing Canvas. We'll be the only, at this time, I think we're going to be the only middle school in our district who is utilizing Canvas, but I'm super pumped about that just because of the experience that I had with that this whole past year working at the high school level. I'm actually going to start my presentation off with the resources that I have found to be very helpful or that have been given to me. The first one is Catlin Tucker. Catlin Tucker is a huge proponent of blended learning, so I've given you her Twitter handle. I definitely recommend following her if you are not already. She is constantly tweeting out ways to make your classroom, whatever content it is that you have. Now, she is in English. I think she teaches freshman English, but a lot of the things that she's tweeting out can be utilized across grade level, across content level as well. And then I have two of her books that I have had that I've worked with as far as being a part of the district's blended learning cohort team. So I've given those to you as well, just in case you're interested in purchasing them. Canvas, I've given you Canvas's Twitter because they are also frequently tweeting out ways that they can help you. If you are able to get Canvas, that's kind of the downfall, is that Canvas is it has to be purchased by your building or by your district. But they're constantly tweeting out a bunch of things, new things, or partners. They partner with a bunch of different apps. Some of those apps that Adam was just sharing with you, or those resources, those can also be seamlessly incorporated into Canvas. And then Heather Staker, she is kind of the driving force behind this idea of blended learning. So I gave you her Twitter handle, and then I also gave you the book that she co-wrote with Michael Horn. So if you're able to get your hands on that book, I would definitely recommend that. All right, kind of the why behind Canvas, at least for me, and kind of just going based off our district initiatives and the building that I was just in, is that it's great for any content level, and it's great across any grade level as well. And all of the high schools are utilizing that with all of their content levels. And then, like I said, the middle school that I'll be going to will also be utilizing that across grade 6 through 8, as well as all the content levels. Also, a part of the why, it's really a one-stop shop. You can do so much in this Canvas platform. You can send out reminders to students. I know that some teachers use Remind, but you wouldn't have to use that anymore. You could just use Canvas. You can create and grade assignments, all different kinds of assessments, quizzes, essays. And the essay part, you actually, as the teacher, you get to annotate those essays using a variety of techniques, which I'll try to get into if we have enough time today. Your students can have online discussions with each other that you get to, that you also get to help facilitate and see. And it's immediate feedback. You get to provide immediate feedback to your students on whatever it is that you have them working on. And then something that I've been really big into this year as well is the standards-based grading. And Canvas allows for you to grade any and all assignments using the standards that are set with your content and your grade level. I know I've already chatted with you about who uses Canvas a little bit, at least in the Boone County school system. So again, all of our high schools use Canvas. We'll be the middle school who pilots Canvas, but you can use it at the middle school level. And then I recently just saw at the Canvas tweeted out something a couple of weeks ago that they have already built, or they are going to build a platform that elementary schools can use as well. And a lot of the universities and colleges are also moving towards that as well. Thomas More uses that. UK, I just found out, is using Canvas. Miami is using Canvas. So there are a lot of post-secondary schools who are using it as too. So at least for Boone County, I think we'll feel good about us being able to use that and preparing our kids for, some of those post-secondary institutions. All right, I'm going to take you to my Canvas page. So we'll click on this. And I'll just go through some of the things quickly with you. You have your homepage, and on your homepage, you can, I usually just have a picture there, and then any of the quick links that I feel like my kids may go to. Now, this is my AP Lit class that I'm showing you, but I did also use it frequently with my juniors honors kids as well. But I'm just going to show you my AP stuff that I used this past year. This is the announcements that I was talking to you about. You can send out announcements, reminders, or if you changed class, sometimes I would be in the library and I would forget to tell them. So we can, I would just send out announcements that way. I'll get to assignments here in a little bit. I love the online discussions. I was really big into Socratic seminars with my AP kids, especially after some of the major works that we would read. But I really found that some of my students, even at the upper level, had a really hard time sharing out verbally with their peers. So I started creating I started doing a blended Socratic seminar where I would give them an opportunity to respond to peer questions online, and then bring those responses online to the classroom. And that way I could also facilitate that discussion taking place as well. So that was really cool. And I think that was really great for, especially for some of those kids who just don't really feel comfortable sharing out verbally. I'm going to go ahead and go to the module so I can actually focus on the idea of blended learning in two different formats. I really got into two types, the station rotation and a kind of a mix between like a flipped classroom, flex, and individual rotation. The station rotation, I would put all of the kids into groups. I would group them out before we started the stations. Here I only have five. I only have 5 different stations, but I would usually do 6. This was one of my last ones at the end of the year, so I just made it down to 5. So I have 5 different stations, and 5 different stations, and then each station they would have something else to work on. I always did station A as a teacher-led station. And surprisingly enough, this really shocked me, but my teacher-led stations, I was always reading a children's book to them. And I usually use the stations as an introduction to the next literary work that we are going to, that we were going to read to. So I would usually read the children's book to them, and then I would have them do something for this, for Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read a story about a character who struggled to find their voice. And then after I read that to them, I made them do an online. So they would go back into Canvas into this assignment, and they would write about a time in their life where they felt like they struggled to find their voice. And that was just shared with me because that could be really personal. So I was the only one who saw that. And then at the end of the day, I was able to go back in right away and see what the kids had written about. The next station for at least this, I always also tried to incorporate at least 1 or 2 stations where they were collaboratively working as well. So the next one I had set for them, they got to choose a specific time period that surrounded Their Eyes Were Watching God, and then they had to just include on their little poster that I was making them create these 4 points, and they were able to do that collaboratively.
Melinda, could I jump in with a few questions real quick?
Sure.
There was a question about Canvas versus Google Classroom. And obviously, it sounds like Canvas eventually is a paid service. Google Classroom is free. But,
right. But
if you had to pick 2 or 3 bullets, what are some things that it's what are Canvas able to do that Google Classroom can't?
Well, that is a good question. Now, Canvas does connect to Google Drive. And I'll be honest, I have not had a ton of experience with Google Classroom, just because the last, really year and a half, I've been working with Canvas. A lot of our teachers who are coming from different middle schools to the new middle school, they have also been working with Google Classroom, and I think they were kind of freaking out about whether or not their stuff would be able to transfer, and they have been told that they should really be able to make it pretty seamless, that whatever they've created in Google Classroom, they will be able to create in Canvas as well. So I can just talk to you about the things that I think that Canvas does well. And again, I think that the idea that it connects with a bunch of different apps. YouTube is already embedded into Canvas. Khan Academy, which is, I think, the math app, that's already embedded into Canvas. You can get a ton of other apps, Flipgrid, Adam, that you were just talking about before, that automatically can be embedded into Canvas. But some of those apps that I'm talking about, you may have to reach out to the person at the district level whoever that is, for them to be able to put that into your Canvas homepage. So that way your kids have access to that as well.
Okay, and one last question really quick. Someone had asked about, do you have to download the app to get push notifications? Is that something that maybe notifications can also go to email or to other places, or you have to have the mobile app for that to work?
Yep, no, not necessarily. You can have them come to your email as well. Canvas just recently put out this past year an app for parents. So parents can get the notifications if they download the app, or you can, when you go to set it up, when you go to set up Canvas, you get to choose in your settings where you want those notifications to go. So I have them going some with different things. I have them going to both my phone and to my email. Like if a kid sends me a message, I have them going to both, but you get to make that choice where you want them to go. So if you don't want them to go to your phone because you don't want to purchase or download the app, I don't even think you have to purchase it. It's just downloading, that you don't have to do that.
All right, great. I'm gonna let you get back into the presentation mode.
Okay. One of the other things that I always love doing is a character connection. So what I would do is I would give one station would always be giving students a list of characters that they may see or that they will see in the novel. And then I would have them create a card. And usually the card, I would make them do a visual of the character that they chose. They usually just would choose one, sometimes two. A quote the character said, I would either provide that to them, or I would make them find a quote that they felt like would best exemplify that character through the description that they were given. During this station, I made them find a song they felt would be best connected to that character, and then I made them doing an emoji. So that was just kind of fun. And then they would, after they create either their poster or their character card, I would make them post that in a specific spot in the wall. So that way we were just showcasing student work. One of my other stations, I would always have information about the author and potential themes. And this one, it looks like I had them also working with a group. Like I said, I always try to do at least one or two of those where they are collaborating with the people in their group. And then all the directions, again, just on there, they create a poster, the theme they chose, 2 direct quotes from the article that I had them read, which is just right here. I just embedded a link to the article that I wanted them to read, and then a visual representation of the theme. And then again, once they were finished working on that as a group, I would have them display that somewhere in the classroom. This one is a little different. This time I actually had them sign out the novels that they were getting as a part of one of their groups. So they would pick a novel. I made them do like a book checkout. And then I had them read and fill out an anticipation guide that went along with their Eyes Were Watching God. After they did that, I had them do an online discussion where they had to post something, that one of the statements that really stood out to them and why. And then they had to also had to respond meaningfully to 2 other peer responses. And usually the way that I had discussions set up, you do have this choice. And I know that you can do this in Blackboard too, that you can check a little box that says, you don't want the user to see other peer responses until they have responded. And that's always how I set mine up as well too, because I wanted them to have their own thoughts first before they looked at other group members. At the end of every station rotation, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. This was a weird day for us. So I was actually able to get through all of the stations in one day because we were on a block schedule for this particular set of rotations. However, I would usually try to do anywhere between 2 and 3 stations a day. So that means that it does take up a little bit of time, but I think that's part of one of these ideas about creating a student-led environment where you got to be okay with that. And I was okay with that. It kind of freaked me out at first, but the students really, really, really liked it. So I would say on average, it would take me about 2.5 days to get through a set of stations. And that doesn't have to be the standard for everything. It just really depends on how much you want your students doing in each of the stations, but that was pretty much my standard. After every day of a station rotation, I would have them do a formal reflection, what stations they liked, which ones they didn't like, and why. Was there something that you thought like I could have done better, but I didn't? And I always looked at those to make sure that for the next set of station rotations that I was including things that the kids wanted, because at the end of the day, we know that it's about them. And because I was on the standards-based grading mastery learning bandwagon, pretty full force this year, I would make my kids reflect on standards that they had interacted with throughout the day, that they felt that they had mastered because of the work they had done within each of those stations. All right, I'm gonna go back. I guess maybe I should stop and say, do you have any questions about the station rotation work that I did before I go on to the next one?
Let's see here. I think we're good.
We're good. Okay, then I'm going to show you, and I'll run through this quickly because I know we're kind of pressed for time a little bit. But the second type of blended learning module that I got really a hold of it was kind of a combination between some flex and some individual rotation. When my kids, my AP kids read The Heart of Darkness, I had them do that on their own, but I made them work through this module that I had created in Canvas. And the very first thing that I had created, one of the pages in the modules was this questions, comments, and concerns. And because I was not with them and we were not talking about the novel necessarily all the time as a whole class, I created this page there that they would post any questions, comments, or concerns, I don't have any here, that they had while they were reading. So, and if they did, I would go there and I would check that daily or every 2 days to see what was being said or what was being commented on, or if they had questions. And then I was able to provide them feedback. Immediately about anything that they had a concern about. And that also gave kids an opportunity. That way, if they had a question, they could go there first before they would ask the teacher, just to see if they had the same question that was already answered by another student. So for each one of these different pages, each kid had something, not each kid, but they went through something different to do. So when I had them, and I broke this down by parts, The Heart of Darkness was broken up into 3 parts. So I made sure that I labeled that for each one of these different sections of this particular module. I guess I can show you what maybe a quiz looks like. I didn't show you that. I'll go to preview. With the quizzes, you could set these up in a variety of ways. My quizzes, I usually had them set up as short answer responses, but you can do multiple choice. You can do a combination of short answer and multiple choice, whatever you want. So that's kind of what my quizzes looked like, at least for this particular one. And then once they take it, you hit submit. And with the short answers, though, they don't get to see the feedback until you grade it. But with the multiple choice, they get to see their progress or how well they did immediately. Because when you go to create the quiz, you put in the correct answer, and then you can choose whether or not you want them to see that after they have taken the quiz. I'll come back here. So like I said, each part of this module, and they got to work through that at their own pace and their own place. Now with this module, I actually let them decide when they wanted to take the assessment. However, I did make them say that you need to finish the module before. I think I had given them like almost a month and a half to get through the module on their own before we took the final assessment. But if they had finished that on their own, I told them that they could that they could take the assessment, the written assessment, when they wanted. Now, I didn't have anyone who did that. They all waited until the last minute, but I think just giving them that option is a part of what student led learning is, and a part of that idea of personalizing and blending the learning for our kids. Now, I think I just very briefly saw something on the comments about Canvas having a learning community, and I will just touch on that real quick, and then I probably will be done. But that is correct. It's called the Commons, and you can look up work that has been shared by other people in your district, other people, well, anyone really who wants to share whatever it is that they're doing to Canvas. So I have shared some of that Heart of Darkness module. I shared that with another AP Lit teacher in our district. So she would just go and she would find, type my name, and anything that I have, oh, I'm just kidding. Anything that I have shared in Canvas would pop up. Although I'm not really sure why my name's not showing up, but I promise I have shared stuff here, so I don't know. Okay, are there any other questions? I know Tia is waiting to share what she has for you as well. And that was it. My last slide was just me asking if you had any questions.
We are doing pretty well. There's some great conversation going on in the back channel chat here on the YouTube.
Okay.
There's now I just want to give one personal shout out to Julie Gaskin, because she has obviously had some experience with Canvas, and she's sharing some of her good wisdom to our fellow chat people. So, but no, we're good.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you, Julie, for chiming in there. Appreciate that. All right, it looks like Tia, you are up.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you again so much for joining in with us. I'm going to be talking about infographics. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you. I'll probably be toggling back and forth a couple of times. And really, I've done this with my students multiple times the past couple of years, and they're always like, info what? Like, what are you talking about? And what I love about this word is it means what two words are in there. You're creating and sharing information through graphic form. So I have just a little brief definition here for you, but what I love about using infographics is that it is a quick and clear format for students to not only share information or share their knowledge or their learning, but also to analyze it in a very quick way and in a different way. It's a way that is primarily used for sharing online. And we see these already just really kind of taking off on social media and the news and advertising all online. And so it's a really great way for students to kind of become familiar with it, that we can use that outside experience that they see in their real world per se, and use it in the classroom. It's more visual, and it's just a great persuasive tool specifically is what I've used it for. I also want to kind of point out, though, I have a couple of different links in the notes sections of this presentation, and there's a really great article, Enhancing Literacy Instruction Through Infographics, and through there they talk about what different people have done with using infographics. And there's this great website called Daily Infographic, and I actually just stumbled upon this, and so it's something I'm definitely going to be using next year. You can use it in lots of different classes. It's something that you would probably need to go through and find for your students, instead of saying, hey guys, here's this website, go find something. But they organize it by categories. And so what's great about infographics is that it's a really cool way to compare and contrast in different informations. There was a really great one that I saw on here it was, the top popular dog breeds. I remember when I was doing some work with some younger grades, more so like 3rd and 4th grade, and introducing them to the research process. This would be a great way, instead of having kids always write a 5-paragraph essay. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all, but instead of having them do that, have them organize their information and their research that they found, have them cite their information or where they found it, and putting it into an infographic. So really cool resource, daily infographic. Super excited about that. But when it comes to the tools to use for an infographic, there are 3 really wonderful free resources that you can use. And I kind of have them organized by what I have used and also which ones I prefer, but they all have their pros and cons. Piktochart is the one that I've had my students use. It's very simple. There's a lot of different options. You can either create more of an infographic, which is really just an elongated flyer or poster that you can incorporate links or videos. They have a presentation, which is really more like Google Slides, but it just has some different features for students. And then they have one that's more for printables or posters. Really, the only downfall is they are a little more on the simple side. But really, when it comes to working with students, I have felt like that's worked really well for them. Canva is the other one. It is, and all of these have an option, obviously, to upgrade. And they always want to push for upgrade, go to pro, give us money for this. But there are some really great free choices. My one complaint with Canva is that you can't organize the tools of free versus things that cost money. And I'll show that to you guys here in a little bit. But I don't like to be teased and think, oh, this looks really cool, and then see, oh, it's $2, or I have to upgrade to use this feature. So, but they have a really great search bar. You can download your work as a PDF, so it's very easy to share. And the last one that I'm going to be showing you is a Vengage, which I have used very little of, but I am so excited about and really going to be looking more into it over the summer because there are so many different categories that you can use. You can have kids make timelines, mind maps, brochures, charts, all within this infographic mindset. The only downfall of it is a little overwhelming. I think especially for students, if you said, hey, go create something, and they have 24 different categories and things within there, super crazy. And the other downfall is that you can't export it as a JPEG. It's strictly only to be shared online. But again, there's lots of different ways that you can still utilize it in your classroom. So Piktochart is the first one that I'm going to talk about. And there's a couple of different features that you can use with it. You can click just on create new, and obviously these are things that you'd have to sign up for, but again, they're free. Or you can go over to the left-hand side and click on infographics, presentations, or the principles. And I'll just kind of show you my dashboard up here. When you go through there and create new, it kind of gives you the 3 different choices. And when I had my students do this, I told them to choose either an infographic or a presentation because the printable is really more simplistic. It's more for kind of posters or flyers. And from here, you have a couple different templates that you can choose from. And again, here's what I love about Piktochart is they have, oh, here are just the free templates. I don't want to see the pro templates because I don't want to pay for them. So I always told my kids you can start with a template if you're unsure, or you can simply create kind of from scratch or from just a blank slate. And once you do that, there are lots of different features, obviously, that you can incorporate. You can embed videos, you can add your own text, you can manipulate the background and all that different stuff. I will say when I introduced this to my students, I actually had them struggle a little bit with it first because I wanted them to kind of play around with it. You can see all of the different things that you can do. But there's also lots of tutorials, obviously, that you can use as well. So you can simply, change the font, you can change all that good stuff. You can change just the different features of it. But I want to show you kind of what my students have done. And so this was the assignment that I gave to students. This was right after they did their research project on debunking cultural or social stereotypes. And so we talked about persuasive appeals. We talked about what makes something a credible source. And so what was great about this is I simply made a Google Doc with this assignment. And then when they went and created it, they would simply copy and paste the link, their shareable link to their final product. So, and I even have kind of like, the basic, like this is what you need to include, but a little more of a challenge level for those students who kind of wanted to go above and beyond. So I'm going to show you a couple of their ones. And I had students share these in a gallery walk. And so they would pull them up on their computer through the presentation mode. And you can kind of see like the different portions of it. This is a little more of a slide feature. And so you can embed graphs, you can embed pictures and videos, lots of text. My students really freaked out a little bit because they wanted to just input all of their paragraphs. And so it was difficult for them to think, all right, what's the most important information and what's going to be the most persuasive for their audience. So here's another one. The student looked at the dumb jock stereotype, and they, found these different backgrounds. And again, they're all very different if you look at these different ones as far as the evidence that they use, how they're incorporating their citations. And you can even have, when students do go around, I had them comment on paper, but you can have them even comment virtually as far as different things that they like. This is another one that's a little more text heavy. But it was a really great conversation starter of, what is persuasive, what is appealing when it comes to things that you, see online, and really have that conversation about it. So again, Piktochart, I'm a huge fan. Lots of cool stuff that you can do with it. Some of the logistics in here, you can also add the rubric for students to really look at the standards that they're targeting. And when you go to share, once you do have, I'm sorry, I can't find a good one to show you. You would just use the shareable link. And so that was kind of like a conversation to have with students about, really taking your time and reading, is this a can anyone view, or all that good stuff. Canva is another great one that you can use. My gripe with Canva is that there are very limited free choices. And so like if you notice down here for their layouts, this one you could use this template and you could change the picture and the text and all that good stuff. But a lot of the other ones will either have the pro sign on it, or it will have like a little dollar sign. So it'll even say like, pay $1 for this feature. I think Canva would be really great to use even for younger students, for posters and flyers. And I have linked the tutorial down here at the bottom to use for that. One of our questions, real quick, let me go to if this would link to Canvas. Absolutely, I feel like it would, because you could easily have the shareable link when you go in and post an assignment. So in Canvas, you can either have a text for your response, or you can input a link. And so you could simply just put the link of your completed infographic. So that would be really cool. Vengage is the other one that I was mentioning. They have so many different templates and features. They have obviously premium and business ones that you would have to pay for, but a lot of their templates are free to kind of manipulate and work with. And so Vengage is super cool. I wanted to show you one of the infographics that I made the other day using Vengage that kind of goes through how you could use it in the classroom. So for students, when you're using infographics, I think it would be a great idea to first use it with them, to have them analyze it instead of jumping into them creating their own. So it'd be a great way to share school information or to promote or advocate for your classroom, for your library. This is something I'll definitely be using in my library to kind of show reports and statistics and new programs. You can use it for lesson visual aids, and it would also be a really great spark for discussion and debates. You can then move on to having students create their own to either share information that they're learning. Again, this could be in any classroom, any content. It really helps move on and show creating an authentic audience. Students are really becoming more online learners. They're online all the time, whether they're looking on Snapchat at different articles or Instagram. I don't know why that name blanked on me for a second, but on Instagram, they see and they're reading information constantly. So really incorporating this into our classroom so that we are allowing them to be just smarter with, analyzing what is valid and what is, really appropriate for them too. It's a great way to do that and share information. And I also have just some different ideas where you can use, this instead of a written essay, doing more of a visual essay. It's still incorporating those reading and writing strategies, even if it's not this huge long article that they're reading. They're having to analyze more text features. And so that is still going to get them those strategies. Great use in a social studies classroom with a historic timeline. Could use this in a math classroom to really look at probability and statistics or problem solving, having them work through a problem and then presenting that information. These would be great for PBL projects to where they are sharing their findings and communicating that with others. And then there's also some great compare and contrast forms for this too. So just kind of going over some of our questions real briefly. Yes, I totally agree with Elaine. It's a great way to digitally organize your information. Let's see, Courtney talked about how she really pushed a couple of students to work on infographics last year, and she'll definitely use them. Awesome. So excited to hear that. So are there any other questions kind of before, and of course, it's taking me a second to not share my screen. There we go. Any other questions before we kind of move on? I'm going to introduce Elaine here in a moment, but any other questions? I think we're good. Elaine is going to talk about Trapper Keeper 2.0, digital ways to organize and remain cool, which I'm super excited to hear about. So Elaine, it's all you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tia. Okay, guys, let me make sure I go ahead and share my screen. But thanks, everybody, for viewing this. This is like an amazing way. This is now going to be my favorite way to do PD in your own comfort of your home. But let's see. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So one of the things that I find, all right, there we go. Present to everyone. Make sure everybody can see. All right. Are we good? Can you guys see? One time I've done this and it didn't work.
You're doing great.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So one of the things about all this digital everything and trying to keep up with the times is it's really hard to stay organized. And as a teacher, it's hard to stay organized, much less now I am modeling for my students how to stay organized. So I put together some of the little tidbits that I've picked up along the way for you and also to model for your students so that they can remain organized. Of course, I'm quite biased to the browser Chrome. And so some of us use Chromebooks, some of us use MacBooks, some of us use PCs. Either way, you can get your hands on Chrome, you can download it, but always make sure that you have yourself logged in, and I call it holistically logged in to Chrome. Depending on multiple ways of what you're using, there are ways that you need to make sure that you can toggle back and forth from a person that has that is your personal account to your not personal account. Oh, I guess I should have also said this bit.ly right here is to this presentation that I'm showing, and for you guys, if you want to jump onto that too and follow along or whatnot. But anyway, so make sure you use Chrome. On a Mac, it's very simple to toggle back and forth from person to person. You just go up to people, and then you can add a person, and that way I call it separating church and state. I keep my personal account, every like Facebook, passwords, and all that kind of stuff are saved on that. But for students also, you know, if you have a student that uses another student's browser, then usually you need to either use a incognito window or a guest window. But if they log into that same window, frequently you'll get errors of they'll try to log into another person's account or try to get a link and it says that they don't have access. So making sure that you're familiar with how to toggle back and forth from two different people, because really you are logging into a virtual computer when you use the browser Chrome. Okay, so we're going to move on next. One of my favorite things that I learned from one of my first PDs that I ever went to for Google, which was how to hack a bookmark. And so if you're not familiar with bookmarks, and I've got a crazy amount of apps and bookmarks, so I need to kind of clean up some things. But if you notice that I don't have a lot of words up here, and so if you take and you bookmark something, and you will be able to bookmark it by right-clicking or going up to bookmarks and bookmark this page. But if you bookmark it, you can also bookmark it by the star over here at the end of the Omni bar. And going ahead, and we're just going to go there. We're going to bookmark today. So if I needed to bookmark this, whoops, I've already bookmarked that. Let's see, Google. Let's just bookmark Google. If I try to bookmark this page, and I get this window that pops up, but the hack is to go ahead and delete that name, and then you will get, once you've done that, you will get these little buttons up here. Of course, you can fit a whole bunch more buttons than you can if you have the name beside the things. Also, another trick is to organize by using different file folders for your different bookmarks, so you have to be able to keep them up and not necessarily keep up things that are for your math class or maybe for your after school things that you need, or awesome all these awesome things that the other presenters have shared. I would probably put them in my other bookmarks because they're things that I'm not going to need in my face right there. So bookmarking is a huge time saver as well. So then, oops, we need to go back to this one. Okay. All right. So if you have not jumped on the bandwagon of apps that you can add to your Chrome, I explain this as on your smartphone, you go to the App Store and you can add things. One of my favorite ones is called OneTab. So if you go to the App Store in the browser, you'll just click Apps, and then you can go to over here, and you go to the web store, so you get to go shopping. And once you do that, you go into type in OneTab, and there are several ways you can use this awesome extension. Of course, yours would say add to Chrome, and you're going to get a pop-up window that's giving you the rights that for that extension to use your browser and your information. Go ahead and do that. But once you've done that, what you can do is, if you have a whole bunch of tabs open at the top, then as Chrome sometimes does to us, it can slow down your browser and can get frustrating because you're not really sure why things are not working the way they are. Well, if you click this OneTab extension that you have added, it will gather all of these, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It'll gather all of the open tabs and put them into a one tab that will be saved there for you as well. So if you're like me, you leave a tab open because you have got to remember to do something. And so you end up presenting to your entire class or whoever that you needed to purchase something at Walmart or Target, and you leave it open, and you need to make sure that you don't close it to remember or remind yourself. But if you use that one tab extension, you're able to do that. Another great way to do this is to open up different tabs that you have for all of your students to use as a resource. So maybe I want them to go to this website for looking for information on this topic, and then go to this website and go to this, this article. Once you've collected all of those tabs open and you use one tab, you can share it as a web page. And then by doing that, you've got this QR code that you can post on the wall or post somewhere in your classroom, or you get this link that you can also share all of those links then to Google Classroom or Schoology or wherever you might post a link to. And then that way they have all of their information right there that they need in one link. And you can add the power of that too if you use Bitly. And so Bitly, of course, or a URL shortener, and then you shorten that, you can also add that to your little toolbox. So let's go back and look at what else we're going to talk about with that. Okay, so Google Calendar is something very near and dear to my heart. It keeps the life of the crazy life going, and I get to juggle a whole bunch of things at one time. But if you've not used Google Calendar and you need some more into that in my next session, so make sure that you pop in. But creating events and making sure that you can toggle and share these different calendars, you have to kind of understand that they are layers of calendars, layers. So you have maybe your first period block if you're a student, and then your second period block if for the next class, and they're layers. If you use Google Classroom, of course, you get those assignments are automatically put onto that calendar for you. And it's also really neat to share as a teacher with the Google Calendar and using Google Classroom that that calendar to parents so that they're aware as well, and making that as a public calendar. So we are going to talk about that later, but if you are not harnessing the power of Google Calendar, that is a definite must-have. And I always tell people in the PDs that I present in, how do you keep your life organized? And still some of us are using paper calendars. More power to you. I would lose it, but I love the fact that my Google Calendar is actually on my phone and updated automatically, and then shared with everybody that I share it with and choose to share it with. So another thing that is a must for keeping organized is your Google Tasks within your calendar. So if you go to, let's see, I'm not sure if I just closed that or not. I've still got all of things opening, trying to open up from one tab. So I really wasn't thinking about pushing that button, how much it would take for Chrome to get them all back up. But if you're not familiar with the tasks inside Google Calendar, this is an added benefit to do your to-do lists. And so you can open up your calendar, and they have reminders usually, and it's on the left-hand side. And if you right click on that, you can choose it to show as tasks. And then there's also a free app on your phone, and it keeps up with your to-do lists. And so if you open up your calendar, and then it will say reminders, and like I said, you right click on it and make it as tasks, you can open up your to-do list right within your calendar. Let's see if I can make it open up. Oh, it's thinking so quick, so much. But I have my to-do lists usually right here. If you make a, there we go. If you make where they're time sensitive or a due date for those tasks, they actually show up on your calendar at the top as when they are due. And then if they're not checked off the list, they end up jumping from day to day, which is a major benefit. So let's see, I haven't even stopped to breathe for anybody, but Oh, okay. So that's not to me. All right. So Google Tasks is a must, and I can dig into that more in the next session. But if you've not checked that out, I'll put some links down here to help you get started with that as well. But that is a way to keep up with to-do lists, which I'm sure we all have. Now, of course, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So Google for added benefit to Google Tasks, and I think if my memory serves me right, Melody's the one that showed me, or someone from our got these left to right person. You know, from the start of the day, my Post-it notes. I know everybody loves Google Keep, but there's a benefit to. Let me close some of these. So maybe I can be a little bit more productive. Let's see, close tab. Oh. I've got it thinking too much. Okay, so, but they are virtual Post-it notes, and you are able to share those Post-it notes. They can be to-do lists, but as shared on one of the live events of Kentucky Go Digital was to personalize those Post-it notes. So if you pin a note up at the top and you use a clip art for the days of the week, you are able to actually organize when things would be due. And it's a quick way to, if somebody knows who's the one that taught this on it's just my memory has failed me, but go ahead and give credit to who is due. But yes, and Adam is going to be talking about Google Keep at 1:35. But this is a great way to kind of hack Google Keep and pinning it up at the top and putting a little clip art of when you need to do or what you need to do. So that is an added benefit as well. So if you've not checked out Google Keep, make sure that you do that. So. All right, so for all of you out there that are still using Microsoft Outlook, I don't know how much time I still have left, Adam, let me know. But if you're using Microsoft Outlook, I have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. So if you go into your tab of your settings over here on the right-hand side, one of my favorite things is to go to Manage Add-ins. And we all get emails and bombarded by emails for sure. And sometimes you are thinking, oh my goodness, I'm never going to remember that. I'll put it on my to-do list, but I need somebody literally to physically remind me. A perfect example is when you ask somebody that you usually don't get to talk to, or and they send you an email and they say, hey, Elaine, can you remember to do this? And so there's an add-in for Microsoft Outlook, and it is called Boomerang. So like, again, if you are using Microsoft Outlook and you log into your web browser and you go into the gear up here at the top and you type in Boomerang, this is an add-on that Microsoft uses, and you click add and it'll give you a permissions. And then once you have installed that, and when you go to your new, you're going to notice a nice little button here that is called Boomerang. And it's a tool that will allow you to have an email sent back to you to remind you to do something. You can customize the time. You can say, oh, I need to do this later on in a week, or I need you to remind me tomorrow. Another good benefit for this add-on is that I like to work late at night. So I may be up at 12:30. Well, if I send an email out to people and I need them to see it first thing in the morning, if I send it at 12:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to be buried sometimes among a bunch of junk mail, and also buried, and they may not see it. So if you send something later, it will send it. You have default times, or you can customize that. And so you can send things out later at times. And when you do that, it just stays in your draft folder till the time, and you are able to send it out and keep it at the top of people's inboxes. And also, let's see, making sure that many of us, I have fallen, and I'm sure Google has this capability. I have fallen tail to Good, LaDonna. I'm glad you're going to be adding Boomerang. It's definitely a must. If your inbox, if you've just recently merged over and your settings have not been reset, and you are still seeing a reply all as your default, if you go into your gearbox here and click on reply, so you can change reply all, because I have definitely clicked reply all and told the entire school accidentally I'm not going to be attending the meeting because I have a doctor's appointment, and that was a mistake. But you can change your default button to reply rather than reply all, which goes directly to your sender. Another awesome thing is, let's see, it's the delay. I'm thinking, let's see, I can't remember. I can never remember what it is called. It's, let's see, stop. What's called? Never remember what it's hidden under, and it is called the well, let's go back here. So if I go back to my options and click this, I can also, here it is. No, undo send. There it is. Okay. So I have, and this is the last thing I think I'm going to show because we're probably running out of time. Adam, I don't know if you've replied back to me, but so if
you are doing great on time. You have 15 minutes if you want 15 minutes, so go right ahead.
I'll relax a little bit. So I don't know about you guys, but I have sent something on accident, and as soon as I started to think of, I've clicked send, you're like, oh no, I didn't put the link on, or I forgot to put somebody else. So if you go into your settings and you click and you put undo send, you are able to retract it and say that you need to retract it. It'll give you 5 seconds on up to 30 seconds to kind of let that send sink in, and then you don't have to, so it's kind of a loading bar for your messages. The only downfall is it does make you less productive for those, whatever amount of time that you've chosen. So if for 30 seconds, I've chosen 10 seconds, so I'm waiting for my emails to send for 10 seconds. But those of us that do end up sending emails district-wide, as I do, it allows me to kind of just really rethink, no matter how many times I reread an email, we do have those accidents. So that undo send button has been a huge blessing for me. And that's an added benefit in Outlook. And of course, I always remind people, make sure that your emails have a signature on them, and go ahead and put that Kentucky Go Digital signature that you're going to get in your, after today, when you fill out your share, you're going to get a link that allow you to add that badge, so you can add that into your signature as well. So, and one more thing to talk about is making sure that you in your Google Drive stay organized. And one of the best things I can tell people is to think of the end in mind when you're creating your folders within your Drive. And of course, you are able to go and color code and use asterisks. One of the most organized ones that I have seen is Whitney York. She is super organized in her Google Drive. Mine is definitely not as organized as her, but she showed me the asterisks. And so I can now pinpoint things, even though they are alphabetical and whatnot. I can put things at the top because if I use asterisks as well. So making folders within folders and subfolders and keeping those things all together is a huge benefit as well. And then color coding. If you're not familiar with color coding of your folders, if you just right click on there and you can change that color as well. And a new benefit that they've just recently added on Google Drive is to search within a folder. So that is a benefit as well. So keeping the making sure you have everything in its place and a place for everything inside your Google Drive is a benefit. So just a couple of little extra tidbits that I did have for people were Google Voice. If you are not a Google Voice person, I started using Google Voice, and you have to set this up on a desktop or a laptop. You cannot set it up on your phone. It is a free, yes, Tara, I'm using Bitmojis in my presentation. But Google Voice is a free service and tool that you can use. And I love it because I'm able to share that phone number out to students and parents and not feel as if I'm giving them necessarily my personal number. And to start that up, you go to voice.google.com, and then you create an account. You link your actual cell phone number. But when now I call people in Google Voice, and I can text people through Google Voice on the app on my phone. And if I'm not, I have a different area code than everybody around here. So a lot of times when I give people my phone number, they look at, they don't get it right because they just hear the 270 rather than 502. But then I use this Google Voice. And another benefit is that I have record of, because if you delete a text message on your phone, it's gone. But this one, you have a record. I can delete it on my phone, but I have a record on my laptop as well. You can have video calls and phone calls, all for free. And again, like I said, one of the added benefits is that I can send or give people that phone number and not feel as if I'm giving them my personal cell phone number, because you can always get a new Google number. Another benefit is when somebody calls, it sounds as if there's an automated, and it lets you know who is calling first. So if for some reason I couldn't talk to somebody at that time, because you can kind of screen your calls. If they leave you a voicemail, it will type it out for you and send you an email as well. So you definitely, if you're not using it, use Google Voice for sure, because it's an added benefit. Very similar to Remind 101. Just give you another one real quick. Todoist is a free to-do list, and it's an app that will sync with your Google Calendar. This is a new one that I got from Randy Hines, one of our technology people at McCracken County. And if you've not dove into Google Plus to connect with other people that are like-minded or maybe even experts at something, then that is a benefit as well. So really, do I have any questions let me go back and stop sharing. Have any questions that for anybody? Let's see.
I have been monitoring the chat. It is not so much questions, but I have to just give a shout out to everyone that is in this room right now. The back channel going on with all this information and stuff is just fantastic. I mean, there's people sharing and putting out ideas, and what if you use Google Keep for your agenda digitally online, just all sorts of fun stuff.
Yes. Second that, Adam. Good job. Yes, absolutely. So let's see, I guess, are we good on time? Or are we just,
we are great on time. We're about 10 minutes ahead, amazingly, from our Q&A session. But if you're wrapping it up, then we can kind of translate to that. And if we don't have any direct questions, I can kind of go into a little bit of a talk about maybe just some round robin questions for everyone that's still online with us, as far as some what we're doing currently in the classroom and such. So
sounds great. Take it away, Adam.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring me back on camera here. Hi, guys. So let's see. So first off, I just want to make sure if there's any specific questions anybody had for Elaine that just finished, or for any of us up to this point. I'll give a moment to look in the chat room, and then all of us can continue to spy on that to make sure if anything comes in. Maybe while I'm waiting, we'll just ask a few questions to fill out a little bit of our time. So really, this is just an open to our group of presenters for today. First off, what's something that just in the past school year, as we've been wrapping it up, this hopefully you're all out of school by now. What's something that, as far as for this school year, you've really been surprised about or excited about, or maybe that you've personally used or seen, or that you've seen in your classrooms or in your school or in your district? Just one tool or one thing about digital tools and such that have really gotten you excited this year. So I'll pass that baton to anybody that wants to jump in here. Tia, Melinda?
I I got one.
Go for it.
Okay, so we're using Google Hangout right now. And I'm a previous special ed teacher, 12 years. And I had a teacher that, and we use Swivel in our district, which is as a device that, and we've talked about this on Google, on Kentucky Go Digital before, but it's a device that holds an iPad, and then the speaker holds a microphone that is a beacon for that device, and it swivels back and forth and follows the speaker. Well, we had a student with special needs that extremely intelligent, just physically and sensory not able to be in that environment. And so what they did was they held a Google Hangout between the teacher or his actual laptop that he was holding, because he's glued to an iPad in the classroom for his rewards. So he loves YouTube. Mm-hmm. And so they had a hangout with the teacher in the classroom, and then a hangout for him in his room. And just harnessing that ability for him to virtually be included into that classroom was amazing. And so what amazes me too with these tools is that the purpose that they're made for is not necessarily the only way that you can use them. And that's what I like about Kentucky Go Digital too, is that we all brainstorm on these ideas of, well, how do you use Google Keep? Well, I would have never thought of using Google Keep as something to keep me, as my to-do list and separate it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or that Google Hangout for that student. So using that tool as a different way to allow that student to be included in that classroom. And literally it's just across the hall, really. But it was a big difference for him. So that was one of the things that I took away this year of taking these tools and just thinking outside of the box with them has made a huge impact for students.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I love the fact that it's, it almost goes without saying, but it's good that we say it, is the fact that, digital technology allowing not only all students be able to participate, to the fullest of their abilities in some ways that they couldn't before, but we shouldn't, think of any particular tool or device as limited to one thing. Really, it just takes one smart, creative educator to kind of think of a hack and say, hey, here's how I'm using the tool to further education in my classroom or for my district, and sharing that information. So that's great. Let's see, Tia, is that you? Do you have something you want to share?
Yeah, well, and I'm really just kind of piggyback on both of you, but I think it's a really interesting and crucial point of saying that it's not about the tool of just using the tool because you want to use it. It's what is the purpose that you're using it for, and how is that going to motivate and move your students? So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that point, Adam. I think you had kind of said that at the beginning of your presentation of, what is the purpose for you using this tool? And I think some of the purposes are just, getting students engaged, and kind of like how Elaine was showing, even a student who wouldn't be engaged, by using that to get them to participate, or what Melinda was sharing with having more of a virtual Socratic seminar for those students who, don't feel comfortable to kind of, get out of their shell and share. I know with my students, we did a slam poetry event, and multiple students were very nervous about standing up in front of a group of people. And so they recorded their slam poems instead, and they rocked it and did awesome with that. So I think it's just a really great opportunity for us to brainstorm.
A great point.
Adam, do you see that on what Tara was wanting? I guess, Tara, you've not been on a live hangout before, but I went ahead and screenshotted some of the things. And so, Adam, you can help me with this. Let me see if I can share.
You want to share your screen? Go for it.
So let me share my screen, and we're going to get that nice little thing here. Present. Okay. So, for those of you that have not been on a Google Hangout before, there are some awesome features for it. And let's open this up. Poor computer is sad today.
It's that one tab. You need to minimize some of these tabs going on.
I know, I need to. Well, it took forever for me to, and that's just because I'm live streaming too. Normally, one tab does not take that long to reopen all your things. It's just because we're live streaming. So this is a screenshot of us just now. Sorry, Tia, that got you mid-sentence. I hate it when people, but you're beautiful. You're beautiful. So Google Hangouts, it looks like this. And this, you've got a group chat. So you can X this out or not X this out. So this is a chat that's just between us four here. And this, you activate that by over here on the left. I am not sharing my screen. Thank you. You should have set, goodness. There we go. That happens. There we go. Now you guys can see it, can't you? Sorry, Tia, that it is getting that. Can you guys see? There we go. All right, so you've got this live chat over here on the right-hand side, and you can X that out, take that away or whatnot. And then you've got your screen, your share your screen button, and then you can add people. You can mute yourself. You can also shut your camera off so that if you're doing something else and you need other people to do. This is adjust your bandwidth. And then this setting allows you to make it public or whatnot. And then, of course, this looks a little different because this is paired with a YouTube live. So it tells us how many viewers we have, and then we can start and stop or start the broadcast. But it's pretty simple to use. And just the Google Hangouts feature, I know I jump into, and I've run a Google Hangout through a Bitly before. And so if anybody emails me and they say, hey, Elaine, I can't get this to work, instead of remoting into their computer as the other techs do, I actually like to physically look at their computer and walk them through it instead of just a phone call and me manipulating their computer, because that allows them to do it hands-on, and I can see it firsthand how they're seeing it as well. So definitely Google Hangouts, if you've not gotten to utilize that, is a benefit, as well as YouTube Live. And we have a create, let me stop screen sharing. We have a create, where am I? We have a create session for that on KentuckyGoDigital.com, which the superintendent, Brian Harper at McCracken, he uses Google Hangouts Live for his leadership meetings, in which it will then archive the Hangout, just like this will be archived. And he keeps them private or unlisted because those are leadership meetings. They don't need to be public. But you could have, you could also do a Google Hangout for homebound students. That was another thing, Adam, that I was thinking of. And you use virtual, like a Mimeo or a smartboard. And if you shared your screen, you could use have class and archive it for your students that are homebound or on medical leave. So Google Hangouts it's just, to me, it's the app that keeps on giving. But I'm just keep talking. So sorry.
You're doing great.
I get excited. I'm a nerd.
No, you're doing great. I was just going to say, and this actually is a good segue into the next question. You're talking about Google Hangout, which is technically free. I know I was talking to a friend in Canada who was trying to help his mother in Louisville with something on her Chromebook. And we were talking about, some options and some extensions and some, but we kept hitting the fact of a lot of them, yeah, they would work, but if you added that extension, but the problem is it costs, you have to pay for it, pay for the license. Hangout is just yet another tool in the G Suite of stuff that doesn't cost. But that led into something that was made a point in the chat room. The next question I was going to ask is a frustration. Like, what's a frustration that you are personally facing, or maybe your district in general is facing, or something you've noticed is a big frustration in the state? The person was saying, yeah, I need to get my Google admin console to turn on some of these features. And I think that's just a growing part of the growth of G Suite, which is that I'll be frank with you. I think for a lot of districts and IT departments, and I can certainly see their perspective and point, it may start really limited, like, opening up the bare minimum, what G Suite can possibly do. And then very slowly peeling back the layers as far as, like Hangouts might be closed down for your district, for example, or it may be closed down for a certain group of people, which again is part of a discussion. I think the main thing is teachers, to keep that dialogue open with the people that are your technology resource teachers or your digital learning coaches or your IT staff, is just to be positive and come together with a plan. Number one, the thing that really gets and bends an ear for a principal or a superintendent is, here's all the awesome things I could possibly do, like Elaine was talking about doing Google Hangouts with a homebound student, for example. Look at some of the things that are considered problems, or look at some opportunities to increase learning in your district, and say, here's how a piece of technology, let's say Google Hangout, that possibly could be currently blocked, how can we take that piece of technology and it makes things better? And it's really rare, I think, when someone doesn't say, oh, well, let's try that. And I think anytime that you're trying to be a purple cow in your particular district and you're trying to do something different is sometimes fearful. There's a little bit of the doing it always the way we've been doing it kind of mentality sometimes that sometimes encroaches in and makes people do the safe choices. Technology in general is scary, and it's just one of those things that you have to plunge in and see. Just take one small example in our district, from around fourth grade, depending on the school, but around fourth grade on up, we have students who are one-to-one. Most of those students have Chromebooks, and we allow students to take those Chromebooks home. And there was a lot of concern about that at first, and there's certainly a lot of districts that were like, really, you let people take your Chromebooks at home? And that's the leadership of Dr. Nyhoff on down, really, in our district, that said, well, yeah, we want to see some opportunities where students could continue the digital learning anywhere, anytime. And the reality is that, yes, there's probably a couple of Chromebooks, a handful, that have gotten broken or lost because they went home. But I will tell you that the percentage is really, really, really small, and far less than what I think some people that were maybe naysayers or concerned saw happen. But it took a little bit of a plunge and just like, let's just try this. It takes a little bit of that fearlessness to try that. So to wrap that up, I guess my point is as far as the frustration level is, approach that with the sense of a plan. Approach your IT people, the people that are in charge of the technology, and say, here's what I'd like to do. Can we at least try this? The great thing about a Google Admin Console is what you can open up, you could close down in tomorrow or in a week or in a month. But come with a plan as far as how you can improve things. And again, I think it's really rare to find the superintendent or the principal that would say, wow, I don't want to improve anything in my district, let's not try that. I think you create that dialogue and that opportunity to improve and try some technology out. Mm-hmm. So any other frustrations that anyone else wants to jump in on that they've seen and possibly overcome as far as with technology in general, maybe a specific tool?
My school district does not have YouTube open. And that is a frustration. We're working on that as far as, branching out. But change is scary. It's not just one school district. It's all of them. And I remember as soon as Facebook, we were all nervous about starting to use Facebook. But by being these pioneers and using them and sharing how digital leadership and digital, the digital driver's license and how important by modeling that for our students is important as well. And not just to say, no, we're not going to do it because we're scared or whatnot. But that's a frustration of mine because, the power of pause is big for me. I don't know how to do something. I go to YouTube. I'm sure you guys are very similar too that are watching. But I think some of our viewers are talking about how just having things blocked is, like you and I have just spoken about, Adam, is frustrating. But that's just things just get calmed down and get comfortable with, how did this school district handle it? And then we kind of would model that or whatnot. So just continuing to be rock stars and making sure that you show how awesome these digital tools are and beneficial for our students, and then modeling good digital citizenship as well for our students, because this is a world that they are going to only be even more immersed in than we can even imagine. And so to hide from it is not going to make anything work better. So
I saw a question about the digital driver's license.
Yes. So Leslie, is anyone putting students through it? Yes. So let us know if you guys are putting students through the digital driver's license. I know Floyd County, Courtney DeRosset, that county is doing huge things with it. they are to get your Chromebook, to take it home, you have to have passed that course. And then if you have a run-in with the law or get a speeding ticket per se, then you actually have to reinsert your license. You kind of go to traffic court. So I love that analogy, and I love how it goes hand in hand. So definitely. So is anybody else using the digital driver's license or something similar? We are not in our district, but I hope to change that. So.
Well, I was just going to say for us, we are not, but what we did instead is that with some input from librarians and some from earlier digital learning coaches, I spearheaded something in Shelby County where we created some digital citizenship curriculum. We certainly freely borrowed from a lot of stuff that's out there as far as resources and lessons already created. But that said, we created that curriculum, and through our LMSs, our library media specialists, we make sure that curriculum is implemented or followed. And it depends on the buildings. At the elementary level, the library media specialists are the ones that are doing those lessons. When you get to secondary level, it's more of a building by building decision. Some principals are like, hey, we're going to have on this particular day, this particular period, the teachers decided to do the lesson of the month. We have 5 strands that we focus our digital citizenship around. So basically that means that every year the students receive 5 interactive lessons minimum. I mean, that's based on the curriculum that we created and that we utilize. Certainly we hope and encourage that they take teachable moments and more opportunities beyond that to talk about digital citizenship. But it was a way of just creating some kind of fidelity. And yeah, we being a one-to-one district, we didn't want to feel like we just handed out the thing. When we first started, it was like, hey, watch this video. And that was kind of a kickoff point. And that wasn't necessarily a bad idea. It's just like PD. If the only PD you ever received on a tool or a strategy or a pedagogy was that one day in the summer and you never addressed it again, it's not really super effective. So that curriculum of 5 lessons throughout the year was a way of not only ensuring that that was a continuous process, but those strands are spiraled through. So every year, those students receive a whole nother new set of lessons based on those 5 different strands, 1 lesson for each strand. And that continues year after year. We've been going, I guess this is probably, we're about to go into our 3rd year of it with obviously some revisions and such along the way. So the key thing is Elaine's saying, I think it's just, you got to do something. And the DDL is certainly a packaged, here it is, opportunity as well. It's just a key thing of creating that opportunity. And it's something that we should do. In our case, I felt like the lessons, we could create some more engaging opportunities. Therefore, we created those curriculum lessons where there's more discourse, and it's not just passing a multiple choice test and feeling like we're good to go after that. We wanted to create more of an interactive lesson. So that's what kind of drove some of the why of how we created our curriculum for us. But anyway, yes, as far as doing that, I think that's a huge piece of what you should be doing in your schools.
I was gonna, TJ, you just literally took what I was going to talk about. Let me change over. I was going to open it. We've got 55 people with us right now. And so we have about 20 more minutes, right, Adam? Am I correct on this?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I thought, I kind of went really fast, but TJ says, can you show me how you can, put the bookmarks again, just as an icon, that little hack, and I'd be happy to show that. But I was going to ask, let us know in the chat if there's something that we kind of went over too fast or you wanted us to revisit or re-talk about. Just let us know. And then Adam and I or any of the other ones, Tia, we can help and go over that again. But I'll share my screen again and show you guys real quick on how to do that. That's a super awesome hack for being organized are those bookmarks. And so if you go to a website and you, let's see, msn.com. I don't know. These just news comes up to me real quickly. Okay, so you go to a website and you want to bookmark it. If you go on, you can go to bookmarks and then bookmark this page, or in the Omnibar, that little star that will turn blue if you bookmark it. Come on. It says, I'm tired. I just clicked one tab because Bonnie Parr is not happy.
Lane's
Okay,
poor
so
computer.
Yeah, that poor computer, poor computer. So if I want to bookmark something, and then you also have the ability to edit it. So you can go to, once you click that star, or you can right click here. I want to bookmark this page. It's going to come up with this little other window. And so if you go ahead and just delete that name, we're just going to leave it. Most of these sites have their own little icon that they've created, and then you can say done. And this, of course, it's going to tell you where you want it. So I want this on my bookmarks bar. And so if you just delete that name, TJ, then that way you've got your own little button. Now I've got so many little buttons that it's actually going to be in my extended right here. So it will, but you can also say this was one that I want. I can reorganize these and by just clicking and dragging. Or if you want to bookmark and really fix your bookmarks, if you go to Bookmark Manager, this is where you can get down and dirty with your bookmarks, and you can create these folders here, and then you can reorganize them. Say this online notepad, maybe I don't want this anymore. So, or if I've got a name right here, I can just right click on this and edit it, and then go ahead and delete the name from here as well, and then save it. And then I'll just have this little S as an icon, so it's a little button. But this is how you can really start to get to organize all of your bookmarks. So, and the folders are for things that you don't want in your face all the time. And then your little icons are your things that you do want. You want your, this is our light speed. This is how we go through our light speed here. So I put them left to right in order. My Drive, email, Google Keep, calendar, Google Plus. And this is our ticket system, classroom. Of course, we've got Edpuzzle and Spark, and IC's way down here and that kind of stuff. So bookmarks are huge benefit. So let's see. So I don't know what else. Let's see what else we got. Did anybody say in the chat?
There was just some questions about staying with the Chromebook, as far as the if Chromebooks don't go home, what do they do with them? Some people are just kind of sharing back and forth about that. Again, some great people sharing stuff as far as back and forth. Melody just chimed in and said our kiddos leave them in the Chromebook to charge in their homeroom. I know in our district, we do have some day users for various reasons. Maybe there was, for a handful of students, there are some struggles or some challenges as far as the taking home, or, there's an expectation they go home and they charge the devices. So when they walk in, they're fully charged to start the day. We do have that hanging over them that, if that's constantly a problem and they constantly come in with dead Chromebooks, that, maybe we just need to keep it here. And if there's any day users in that situation, they go first thing in the morning, usually to the building tech, check out the Chromebook. At the very end of the day, they need to make sure to turn it in. And again, this is kind of uncharted territory. Everything from, oh my gosh, kids won't turn it in. Oh my gosh, they're not going to come to get it in the beginning. And there's always a few challenges of those natures, but in general, that worked. Surprisingly, though, that's just a small percentage. The kids that take it home, they use it, they charge it, they come in, they're ready to go, is great. Kids are, adults, certainly as far as modeling it, we're all in situations where like, oh, I should have charged it and I forgot to. That's okay. We have some some opportunities or some in between downtimes from the charged up, and we just move on. We don't try to, but anyway, in general, our building techs are a big piece of that day user Chromebook team in terms of making sure that they go out and they come back in.
Yeah. We have, if we have a student that hasn't turned in a Chromebook and they need to, there is in the admin console, you're able to turn off that Chromebook, and it'll have just a warning of, if found or whatnot, please return this Chromebook to, whatever room. So if a student's like, I've lost my Chromebook, you can go into the admin console and do that. But we've got Kanita Ballard has asked, she's asking this question. maybe, I think, or maybe it was Kristen. But the consequence of not having Chromebooks charged on a regular basis to leave it at school, that for elementary, I think that definitely would be definitely no charge would become a day user, and then you have to make sure that you don't take it home. But it's just that, I know I have to charge my phone every night. I have to charge my iPad every night. It's just one of those things that back in the day, they used to have to remember their notebook at home and put it in their backpack. Now they have to remember to charge up their device. And so we're giving them that by letting them exercise those skills. We're giving them those soft skills now of making sure that your device has enough juice and is taken well care of. So
there was the question about how do we communicate that the digital citizenship, what we're doing, all the expectations. I think it's typical with schools. There's always a two-part answer to that. And I think it's important for us to be honest about that. There's the compliance level, and then there's more of a transformative change hope that you hope to do. So let's talk compliance. Yes, like every district in Shelby County, we have call it responsible use policy. It's several pages. There's a signature page. They have to sign it every year. Students and parents have to sign it every year. And that check marks a box. But that probably doesn't go any deeper than that just by itself, obviously. On a more transformative level, that's definitely an area for growth for us, and I imagine for most people is, everything from parent academies, opportunities to invite parents in. Let's talk about the digital tools we have, the digital expectations we have. The fact that we have the digital citizenship program, it's there, it's mentioned, it's that information shared. Some parents sometimes email me and ask me specifically, what are you all doing about digital citizenship? And I happily answer that. But here we are with this huge curriculum. We could probably do a better job about really advertising that and making sure that parents understand, wow, that's something that we do here in our district. We certainly don't just give them out a book and just walk away, or so it is hand out a Chromebook and just walk away. It's something that we not just do once and not just do this particular school year, but every school year. There's a curriculum and lessons and things like that go with it. So, again, I think that's something that communicating that, all the awesome things you are doing about that is great, whether it's in a s'more or an email newsletter or slipping it in there with the open house, taking 2 minutes of that time just to say, hey, by the way, here's what we're doing about digital citizenship. I think all of those are probably avenues that people could use and exploit more.
If you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump in real quick. We had talked about, when students come to school and their device isn't charged. For my school, we were a summit school. And so the beginning of the day for the first hour was students' personalized learning time. And so if they came to school and they were allowed to take their devices home, if they came to school and their device was not charged or they didn't plug it in correctly the day before, for my classroom, I had 8th graders. They had to sit right in front of the Chrome cart and plug in their Chromebook and work. And that was a good incentive because if they had it charged, then they were allowed more flexible seating and it was a little more freedom. So that was one thing that worked for us. But that is a, constant communication and, discussion to have.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I saw here in our chat that Jennifer had talked about, she said Jennifer Cox, she is one of our principals in Shelby County. We're at East Middle School. She says, part of our expectation of preparedness is having device charged. Kids lose a pride point toward reward PBIS at our school. So that's probably the great idea. It's in general, like what Jennifer was saying, I think, and what Tia just mentioned, this is one of those quandaries we had. What we could not accept, and that was just a decision that we realized district-wide, up, down, horizontal, vertical, is that we can't punish the kid by saying you're not going to have a Chromebook today. Because if you're really being transformative with our technology and we're truly believing this one-to-one is going to happen, well, then you have to make sure that that's available, and that when teachers plan their curriculum and plan their lessons, they plan to have everybody in there with the Chromebook. There's always an exception or two for various reasons, but in general, day to day, they need to depend on that. So the opportunity isn't that kid forgot to charge. Oh gosh, well, you just get to sit in the corner and fill out a packet or whatever, because some kids unfortunately might use that as their opt out. Like, okay, great, I just won't charge my device. So the reverse of that, like Tia was talking, like Jennifer was talking about, is it's more about rewards. You're still part of the classroom, like Tia was saying, but you just didn't get your preferential seating. That's probably going to be, you know, a positive change around, positive reinforcement of, I'm making sure that I charge my device next time. Or with Jennifer Cox's talking about the PBIS, you know, it's a dock in a way. And of course, you don't want to lose those points because you want to be able to cash in those rewards later. So that kind of incentivization. And, you know, it's like anything they say about habits is that, what is it? Like it takes 100 days to develop a habit and make it just part of your life. You know, anytime you do a huge, even with Chromebook carts, frankly, much less a one-to-one initiative, it's going to take some time to change the culture where here's what we do. Here's just the way our district learning is, or our school building, or our classroom learning is with digital technology. You know, if you do this, then there's that. You have a consequence system, but you know, with time, you know, being mindful of that with your consequences and interventions, then you can hopefully change that, and it just becomes less and less an issue, just kind of fades back. Again, just like we were like, we're going to let kids take the Chromebooks home. We set some expectations up. There was probably a couple of screens broke that way. But in general, and that's usually the positive thing, in general, it's amazing probably how much that goes well. If you're just willing to kind of fail forward, learn from your mistakes, of course, but just make sure your consequences are clear and that your culture is established for that. And I know that we're running down to the last few minutes here, so this might be a good chance to just round robin. Anybody have any last things to share or say, or before we wrap up today's session?
I don't, but thank you all so much for this opportunity. I think this was a great first run, and so I look forward to it in the years to come.
How many times do you get to do a PD from your own house and get to learn from everybody else? Another added benefit, if you guys don't know, the Power of Pause is extremely impactful for our viewers. So this session is going to be archived, as long as the other sessions that are going on simultaneously to this. And I know I'm going to tune in because I didn't get to hear anybody else speak. So I'm going to get to check out those sessions. And again, like we said, they'll be archived all on KentuckyGoDigital.com in a playlist. So that this, if you're like, oh, she did it too fast, or he taught that too fast, you can go ahead and do pause as well. And all these will be on a playlist, which is totally cool. So I'm so thankful to be able to be a part of this and be able to learn alongside you guys. I've learned with my panel here, and you guys have all taught me as I need to know just as much as everybody else and learn alongside. So, so we have what's our next on our meeting agenda here? We've got, what are we supposed to?
Well, from 11:30 to 12:30 is lunch.
Awesome.
You can eat a virtual lunch with us, or you can go somewhere. No, you're on your own, so you're going to definitely have an opportunity to go out and have your lunch. You want to make sure that you come back at 12:30 because the afternoon keynote is going to be Casey Bell, who is going to have her own different YouTube link where you can go and you can watch her afternoon keynote. And then the rest of the afternoon is going to be breakout sessions. So you're going to have multiple choices as far as different people that in general are going to go deeper into a specific tool of focus. And there's some great opportunities. Some of us are presenting some sessions, and then there are other new faces that are going to be coming on too. And so all those links are from your KY Go Digital Northern Kentucky virtual slides that you should have access to. So Melinda, I see you popped in. So you have any last words or anything you want to share with us real quick?
No, I've just been listening, and my babysitter, my dad left, so I've just been trying to do both and make sure my toddler here is behaving herself. But I won't be presenting this afternoon. So if any of you, you go back and you're able to talk to the appropriate people in your building or in your district about the use of Canvas, and you would like more information about how I've used that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to share anything that I have created in Canvas with you, or whatever questions I don't have an answer to. I'll be more than happy to find those out for you as well. And then the same thing with the idea of blended learning. If there's anything I can help out with when you're thinking about maybe creating some blended lessons for your kids, for the upcoming school year, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'm going to pass the baton to Elaine to officially end us, and any last words she has. But I just want to say really quickly, thank you so much for staying with us for these couple of plus hours, and I do really hope that you all have learned some different things. As Elaine said, I hope to watch this as an archive video. I was too busy multitasking with multiple tabs. I definitely want to go deeper with some of the things that my panelists have talked about today, and I do hope that you all have gotten some good value out of some of the tools and such that we're talking about, and inspired you to do some of those things in your classroom. So Elaine, take it away.
Okay. Last thing, couple things on the to-do list. Make sure that you have registered with that link that is that was shared out with Melody, and I think they're going to share that again. That way is how we're going to send out your certificate for today for the PD hours, and also ELA credit, as well as make sure that you, if you're lost, if you can't find a link or something, in the Remind 101, excuse me, Remind 101, if you can contact one of us for help as well if you get lost. So I think that one agenda slide, I've never seen it where it said this is very popular, you try reloading. I've never seen that. So it must have had just, so many people on it that it was just bogged down. So like I said, remind and making sure that you are registered for today and that you are here, and then you'll receive your credit that way. So till our next meeting at 12:30 your time, because it's 10:30 my time, we'll see you then. Bye, guys.